Mayor Crombie, Councillor Demerla, who's away on other business. Councillor Dasco is here. Councillor Dillon is absent. Councillor Downey is ill. Councillor Downey is here. Councillor Fonseca is ill. Councillor Fortini is present. Councillor Groves is absent. Innes and Kovac are here. Councillor Mahoney is here. Councillor McFadden is absent. Councillor Medeiros is here. Councillor Paleshi is here. Councillor Parrish, Ras, Councillor Sato will be late. Councillor Santos will be late. And the rest are here. With that, do I have any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none. Approval of the minutes January 24th. It's been moved by Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Paleshi. All those in favor? That is carried. Delegations and presentations. First one up is 6.1, Regional Budget Summary. Oh, sorry, the approval of the agenda itself. My apologies. It has been moved by Councillors Mahoney and Councillor Kovac. All those in favor? That is carried. That brings us to 6.1, Regional Budget Summary. This is an oral presentation from Stephen Van Offwagen, Commissioner of Finance and Chief Financial Officer. Welcome.
Good morning, Chair and members of Council. I was thinking as I was pulling this presentation together whether I should just go through the corporate overview one more time for clarity, but I think I'll skip that and do a much briefer presentation today. So today I'm going to provide a brief update on the 2019 budget. On January 17th, Council received the corporate overview of the budget. The budget proposes operating and capital spending totaling $3.8 billion with investments to improve people's lives in their time of need, to ensure that our communities are integrated, safe, and complete, and to ensure that Peel is future-oriented and accountable. Council also heard from each of my colleagues how each of the regional services are investing to advance towards Peel's strategic outcomes. Finally, last week, Council received detailed presentations from each of our external agencies, including Peel Regional Police, the Ontario Provincial Police, and each of the 3 conservation authorities. In summary, the proposed budget has a net tax levy impact of 3.3%, 1.5% required to maintain base service levels, and 1.8% for community priorities recommended for inclusion in the 2019 budget. As shown on the bottom of the slide, the proposed increase for utility rate supported programs is 6.5%. Peel's 2019 water bill will remain 38% below that of our neighboring municipalities based on their 2018 water rates. As noted last week, phasing in funding for the Malton Youth Hub into 2020 and 2021 by removing $6 billion from the 2019 budget lowers the overall net levy increase from 3.3% to 2.7%. Over the next 3 slides, I will describe how Council's decision on the Malton Youth Hub will impact regional and local municipal property tax impacts. Starting with Brampton, the impact of a revised 2.7% regional net tax levy increase is 1% on the total residential property tax bill. With respect to the local municipal portion, and they are in the midst of their budget discussions or coming up, we look at an impact of a net levy increase ranging from 4 to 6%, and this may actually be high for where the city may be looking to come in at. When combined with Peel's revised increase, the overall average residential tax increase ranges from 2.9 to 3.8%. The region's proposed net tax levy increase of 2.7%, or the revised impact of 2.7%, has a property tax impact of minus 0.2% in the town of Caledon. The town of Caledon has approved their budget with a net tax levy increase of 5.79%. When combined with Peel's revised property tax impact, the overall residential property tax increase will be 2.4%. For the city of Mississauga, a revised net tax levy increase of 2.7% has a property tax impact of 1.3%. The city of Mississauga's current proposed net levy increase is 4.5%. When combined with Peel's revised increase, the overall average residential tax increase in the city of Mississauga is 2.9%. Thank you very much. This concludes my update.
Thank you. Are there any questions at this time? If not, if we could. Councillor Ras, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I guess this is a question, and you're the new chair of Police Service Board. Does this budget have the oversight of the new board, or was it done before the new board was in? And I'm just wondering, do you as a board need to go back and just take another sober second look at what those changes are, and can they all even be done in this calendar year, especially because we're late doing budget? Is that something that's appropriate to ask?
Most appropriate to ask. The circumstance that we find ourselves under now is we're at that transition point where the last regime of appointees from the province are leaving us now. So as it turns out, at the last meeting, we only had 4 members, the 2 mayors and myself and 1 other citizen member, who I believe at the next meeting will be gone because her term will have finished. So we're quite in a state of transition that we're really down to the 2 mayors and the regional chair. I understand 2 of the provincial appointees will be at the next meeting. Then we're waiting for 1 more appointee the month after that. Then we're waiting for our own appointee. So we're really in a state of flux as we speak. We can turn more of our attention to it in the next 3 to 4 months as it relates to the next calendar year. But we certainly approved the budget as it was presented to the 3 of us at our first session a month ago. And there you have it under those circumstances. Okay? But a very appropriate question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mayor Thompson.
Thank you. Steve, I think you've simplified it quite well. With the trends going for next year, what's your goal for heading next year? Or do you need us to set the rate for next year for you?
So as I shared, thank you, through the chair, as I shared on the January 17th overview, this is not a normal situation for the region of Peel. We saw in the external agencies, particularly Peel Regional Police, their increase this year is something that they're forecasting for each of the next 3 years. We also know that the province is trying to tackle their budgetary deficit. Their budget will probably come out, typically it comes out early April, typically right after the federal budget comes out or shortly after the federal budget. I think we need to wait to see what the province plans to do with funding. We have 27% of our net levy, our budget is funded through provincial funding, and I think the picture may change. So setting a tax rate now, knowing that there's that kind of risk going forward, may be a little bit premature.
At this point, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to move it.
Very good. I'll deal with motions at the appropriate time, but thank you for that. Councillor Parrish.
I just wanted guidance from you as to when I move my motion to defer the money for the youth hub.
Very good. And based upon the motion of move and your question, I'm going to refer to the clerk right now, who is going to go over how we're going to proceed from this point on. Thank you, Councillor Parrish.
Thank you. We would take the motion for the budget first, then the motion for the pool to amend the budget, to take out the pool, to defer it, and then we would do, Councillor Sato is not here right now. She usually declares a conflict with the salary, so we don't need to. Councillor Sato is here, so we will do the that's perfect timing. We'll do the motion. Thank you. We'll do the motion to approve the salary, the non-union salary portion first. Then we'll do the budget, and then we'll do the amendment with the pool.
Councillor Dasko.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to also ask with regards to, I'd like to bring up also a motion with regards to, I've had some issues that I've spoken with around the table with regards to possible expenditure on furniture and a few other things. And I believe a motion that I could bring forward is to have that, actually, that decision deferred basically pending what comes out of our provincial colleagues or friends at the, with regards to the future of the region.
Understood, noted. Through to the mover of the motion or to staff, can anybody tell me what time horizon? I always like to attach dates to motions so that we know there is a trigger, so that, do we have to come back in 90 days and know where we stand? Do we have to come back in 6 months? Because we still have to carry on with the business of the day at the region. So through to the city manager, the CAO, if he can help me at this point, what is your anticipation of how this can be achieved and how it will play out?
I think the best thing the council can do is approve the budget and then add a clause to the budget recommendation that says expenditure on furniture included in the budget be deferred until current governance discussions are completed. Staff can take that. It's as direction, no? Okay.
Very good. I think that helps. Okay, Councillor Dasco, thank you. Are there any other speakers to that? If not, I will go to my first motion, and it is the motion to deal with the non-union salaries first, because we understand Councillor Sato has a conflict, and that the rest of us can vote on that. So if I can have the motion before me, the motion reads that the salary portion of the 2019 regional budget, which includes a 1.75% non-union salary band adjustment, be approved. I need a mover and a seconder. It's been moved by Mayor Thompson. It's been seconded by Councillor Vicente. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, it's a recorded vote. And I do want to note for the record that Councillor Sato has declared her conflict and has left the room. Please vote. A few more to vote still, the clerk tells me.
Councillor Carlson, would you like to vote?
Oh,
Can you try again?
try again, George.
There we go.
There we are.
Yes.
That is declared carried. Thank you.
So now we'll do the budget, which is quite lengthy.
Okay.
So the
Now I turn to the motion on the main budget that reads as follows, that the 2019 operating budget at a total value of $2,502,164,311 as set out in summary 1 of the 2019 consolidated operating and capital budget attached as appendix 2 to the report of the Commissioner of Finance and Chief Financial Officer titled 2019 operating and capital budget be approved, and further that the appropriate bylaw to apportion $1,090,968,025 net funding levy required be presented for enactment, and further that the 2019 capital budget for property tax and utility rate supported services totaling $1,290,891,000 as set out in summary 6A of 2019 consolidated operating and capital budget attached as appendix 2 be approved, and further that the consolidated 10-year capital plan totaling $7,454,900,000 as summarized in the consolidated 2019 operating and capital budget attached as appendix 2 be approved without the salary component that we've dealt with in principle for planning purposes, and further that the changes to the user fees and charges proposed in summary 8 of the 2019 consolidated operating and capital budget attached as appendix 2 be approved to take effect in accordance with the associated bylaw, and further that the water, wastewater, and waste management system fees and charges as outlined in summary 9 of the 2019 consolidated operating and capital budget attached as appendix 2 be approved to take effect in accordance with the associated bylaws, and further that the Commissioner of Finance and Chief Financial Officer be authorized to carry out any necessary technical adjustments and present the necessary levy bylaw for enactment. And finally, that the necessary user fee bylaws be presented for enactment. It has been moved by Mayor Thompson. I need a seconder. It has been seconded by Councillor Starr. You have heard the motion. Oh, questions at this time? Councillor Vicente.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for clarification, the motion as read by you does not include the phasing in of the Malton Youth Hub, correct?
That's correct.
At this time.
At this time?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Councillor Parrish.
And is this the moment at which I
Yes.
amend it?
Yes.
Okay, could you please put the motion that I moved and Gurpreet Dillon seconded on the screen?
Yes.
Because our staff wants us to insert that both staffs report back, city and regional. And I don't know exactly where we want to put it, but I want everybody to see it.
Very good.
And I want to thank Councillor Dillon very much for seconding it.
So there you have it. Take a moment, if you will, to read it. And Council, that's not the,
No, it was just a 4-paragraph one. This is very long. You had the right one. Nope.
I think it might have, yeah, the version 2 one, I think.
Okay, in the 3rd paragraph, it would be regional and city staff report. because hopefully they will be working on it together.
And so,
Yes,
Councillor Parrish, in the
that's it.
final
Yep.
paragraph, last line and further, that regional and city staff report. That's the, I won't take it as an amendment, it's your own motion. You've just
Right on.
changed your motion accordingly.
Are you good with that, Councillor Dillon? Yep. Okay.
Very good. Madam Clerk, would you like me to deal with the main first? I think I'm going to deal with the amendment first, or what would you, for the main motion?
No, we'll deal with the amendment.
Very good.
But should we also take Councillor Dasco's as an amendment as well?
Understood.
Yes, we have both amendments, and then we'll vote.
Yes.
Parrish, then Dasco, then the main.
Yes. So what I'm going to do now is, why don't I take them in turn? I'm going to take them individually. You've all heard Councillor Dasco's amendment that has been spoken to by the CAO. That has been moved by Councillor Dasco. I need a seconder. It has been seconded by Councillor Rass. Seeing no speakers, I will call the question on that. Please vote on that amendment. On Dasco's? That the 2 million, that amendment, the $2 million. I'm working on the amendments first, and I've taken that because it was the first one that was presented to the chair.
That,
Correct.
correct, that's what we're doing.
And that's why I'm singling out Councillor Dasco's motion. That shouldn't be on the screen. You're correct. That is next. The one that Councillor Dasco wants us to defer the $2 million allowed in the budget, but wait to see what happens over the next 30 to 60 days and report back before the expenditure is goes forward. I don't have it written before me.
Point of order procedurally, there's a motion before us, it's been moved and seconded, it should be voted on before we move another amendment.
But we can do that, but I had, Councillor Dasco spoke first, so I would have taken his first, but procedurally, I don't think it makes a difference. Why don't we go with the one that was on the screen? If staff can put that back up, that being the motion with regards to the deferral of the pool that has been moved by Councillor Parrish and seconded by Councillor Dillon. And if staff wants to put that back on the screen, I know that you've seen it, but I think I would like to have it on the screen. There you have it. That is the first amendment before me. If you would vote at this time.
Just a second. Are we okay for me to push the buttons?
Okay? There is the first amendment before me. Please vote. Madam Clerk, that carries. Thank you. The next amendment I have before me is that which I've spoken to Councillor Dasco's about the deferral with regards to the $2 million for furniture, to wait and see what the future brings over the next 3 to 6 months, as was explained by the CAO. Councillor Paleshi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is something coming up before us? Are we going to be able to read something, or it's taken as read?
I don't have it written before me. We're taking it as read.
Okay, so I just need some clarity
Sure.
on what the CAO had provided and some of the comments around some kind of mechanism that would come into play if the province then determined whatever they're going to determine.
Mr. Chair, if I may, staff are going to be reporting back on the implications of what the province determines, whatever that may be. Should that, at that time, we can include recommendations about the spending of the furniture money. Remember, the spending of the furniture money, as was explained, is part of the overall refurbishment of this building. We're going to do floor by floor, along with things like sprinkler systems. We have to do the refurbishment first before we put in the newer furniture, so we can intensify the building. I mean, that's not going to start until we know what the province is doing. So when we report back in a few months on what the province is recommending about the governance, well, we can include it at that time, any recommendations to start spending or not.
Okay, and further, is it safe to assume that if there is office furniture in this building that is severely damaged, deteriorated, you currently have money allocated to change out whatever needs to be changed out, correct?
Yes, we do. And we also have some furniture, pieces of furniture that we can switch out too.
Okay.
So this deferral will not impede day-to-day business in the short term.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, I take the amendment as read. Please vote. That is carried. The clerk advised that is carried. Finally, the main motion on the budget that has been moved. I will call that vote at this time. As amended, yes. And that is carried. Well done. Okay, that brings me down to communications. There are none. Other business, item 8.1, Council Policies and Procedures Committee, oral presentation deferred from the January 24 meeting of Regional Council. Madam Clerk, perhaps you can cue this up for us once more and tell us what is before the chair.
This was a matter that was brought forward from the first meeting of council at the beginning of the year when the committees were formed. And there was an indication and some discussion about expanding the membership of that committee beyond those that were appointed at that meeting. And time was given for the councilors to consider whether they want to be added to that committee. So the chair will be looking for a motion to add additional members to that committee. And also to take out the Police Services Board Nomination Committee and go back to the old nomination committee format, which is one member from each municipality on that committee and the chair ex officio.
Very good. Speakers at this time. Councillor Rass.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I know Councillor McFadden could not be here today due to a medical appointment, but she asked me to reiterate that her primary interest when those committees were first, when they were first brought to us, was her primary interest was the police hiring committee, so that would be her preference. And she would step down from the Policy and Procedures Committee if she could be on that other committee.
Thank you. Councillor Sado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess part of my concern, I apologize I wasn't here when it was raised again, was the fact that a vote was taken when the terms of reference stated that there was no, that it wasn't a single person from each municipality. One of my key interests on that committee was also the police citizen appointment, as I have served on that committee previously, but I'm also very interested in the policies and procedures, as I have served on those previous committees here at the Region of Peel, and I think I can bring that experience and that input to that, so I still do want to be on that committee.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Yes, I'll remain on the Police Services Nomination Committee as I have in the past.
Very good. Councillor Parrish.
Thank you. I think the police services was a suggestion from the mayor of Mississauga because she thought that was why there was a little pushing and shoving to get on the major committee. I don't think that was it, and I think it should stay there because this next board, Police Commission board, is going to be very significant, very important, and I think we leave it with more eyes on the interviewees, and I don't think it should be taken out. I don't think that was actually a motion. It was a suggestion in part of the discussion. The clerk is nodding yes. I too would like to be on the major procedures one. Rule breaking and rule mending is kind of a specialty of mine.
Thank you. Yes, they're coming back down. I think I had Councillor Medeiros first, then Councillor Sinclair, but I think Councillor Medeiros had the different button push. But Councillor Medeiros, you're up.
Oh, yes, my apologies. I'd like to nominate Councillor Fortini. My understanding, and just maybe a clarification by the clerk, the mayors have offered to not continue on. Oh, they're staying. Okay, therefore, if Mississauga, I believe, now are accepting 3 people, is that correct? On the committee? The rules of procedure?
Perhaps we can, I'll come right, you still have the floor, but to the clerk for clarity, what I will be doing at the appropriate time, I'm going to call first for the people that want to sit on the committee to deal with the police representation in our delegate.
Yes.
Oh, so you still want it referred to the broader committee? Okay, very good. I thought there was some concern that some people wanted to sit on the subset without sitting on the bigger body. So for absolute clarity, through to the clerk, be very clear on exactly going forward. We are really providing that committee of the whole. Everybody's agreed on that. And now we're going to ask for who wishes to sit on that
So I would
committee
like
of
to
the whole.
nominate Councillor Fortini to
Very
that
good.
committee of the whole. Thank you very much.
Very good. Councillor Sinclair.
Yes, thank you. If there's an opening, I would like to serve on this committee.
Very good. Thank you. Councillor Raz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will express Councillor McFadden's interest on her behalf to sit on this committee, so I would nominate her.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Once again, we missed that. If you could repeat who exactly you were nominating, please.
Councillor McFadden.
Very good. As you'd mentioned before,
She's
yes.
already on the committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Mayor Crombie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point of clarification. So the people who were on it remain on it. We're just adding to the group. That's correct? Can the clerk let us know who is currently on it? And do we have equal representation from each city municipality? Thank you.
So thank you, Mayor Crombie. So the clerk, if you could tally for us now and tell us that on this one committee that will be dealing with all of the above, who do you have as standing members who have been nominated for the committee?
Members that are already on the committee from previous are yourself as ex officio, Mayor Brown, Mayor Thompson, Mayor Crombie, Councillor McFadden, Councillor Dillon, and Councillor Innes. And nominated today are Councillor Sato, Councillor Parrish, Councillor Fortini, Councillor Sinclair.
Very good. That is the motion that I have before me. I still have speakers. Councillor Parrish.
Well, just to be clear, governance has 12 members on it, and I don't think it's equally divided between the three municipalities. So I don't think that's a stumbling block. The more the merrier. As long as we don't hit 12, we won't exceed governance. And I don't think it has to be equally divided, and we can always add more people later.
Very good. So one more time for absolute clarity, because I have no other speakers, so I will go to the motion. The motion before me is that the following individuals who the clerk will enunciate are to sit on this committee. Those individuals being?
Councillor Sato, Councillor Parrish, and Councillor Sinclair to be added to the committee.
In addition to the other members who
Councillor
were-
Fortini.
And Councillor Fortini. In addition to, one more time to be clear,
Chair Yanika, Mayor Brown, Mayor Thompson, Mayor Crombie, Councillor McFadden, Councillor Dillon, and Councillor Innes.
that is the motion before the chair. Councillor Paleshi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to sit on the committee as well.
That name has been added. Seeing no other speakers, that is the list of committee members before the chair. It has been moved by Councillor Parrish. It has been seconded by Councillor Sato. All in favor. I need a recorded vote. And that carries. Thank you. With that, I come down to notices of motion. Madam Clerk, are there any notices of motion? There are none before the chair. The bylaws. I have an appropriate motion with regards to the bylaws. We're getting ahead of ourselves, which is a good thing. Very good. That the bylaws listed on Regional Council agenda being bylaws 11-2019 to 14-2019 inclusive be given the required number of readings taken as read, signed by the regional chair and the regional clerk, and the corporate seal be affixed thereto. It has been moved by Councillor Kovac, seconded by Councillor Fortini. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Next up, that bylaw 16-2019 to confirm the proceedings of Regional Council at its budget meeting held on January 31st, 2019, to deliberate the 2019 budget and to authorize the execution of documents in accordance with the Region of Peel bylaws relating thereto, be given the required number of readings, taken as read, signed by the regional chair and the regional clerk, and the corporate seal be affixed thereto. That has been moved by Mayor Thompson. It has been seconded by Mayor Crombie. All those in favor? That is carried. I need a motion to adjourn from Councillors Innes and Groves. All those in favor? Carried. Well done.